Picture this. You're 17 years old. Your father is a football legend who dazzled at Real Madrid and Manchester City. You wear the same number 7 shirt at Santos, the same club that produced Pelé, Neymar, and your dad. But here's the twist. The club is teetering on the edge of disaster, sitting just 1 point above the relegation zone, and vultures are circling to rip you away for pennies on the dollar. This is the story of Robinho Junior, a kid born into royalty but fighting to survive in Brazilian football's darkest hour. And trust me, what happens next could change everything. While we are talking all about Robinho Junior, we would be showing you all his actions in the last 8 matches of his senior football since his July 16th debut. Please like and subscribe. It goes a long way to help us. December the 17th, 2007. While his father, the legendary Robinho, was tearing defenses apart for Real Madrid in the Spanish capital, a baby boy was born in Santos, Brazil. They named him Robson de Souza Jr., but the world would come to know him as Robinho Junior, a name that carries both privilege and crushing expectations. Growing up as the son of a Galactico isn't easy. While other kids dream of becoming their heroes, Robinho Junior's hero was his father, a man who bamboozled defenders with elasticos and stepovers, who scored goals that defied physics, who conquered Europe before returning to Brazil. But legacy is a double-edged sword. It opens doors, yes, but it also sets impossible standards. For years, people wondered, would the son follow in those illustrious footsteps? Would he have that same samba magic in his boots? In May 2022, at just 14 years old, Robinho Junior made a decision that would answer those questions. He joined Santos FC's youth academy, the same hallowed ground where his father became a superstar, where Pelé changed football forever, where Neymar announced himself to the world. The pressure? Unimaginable, but the kid had something to prove. Let me take you through his rise, because it's been nothing short of meteoric. After joining Santos's academy in 2022, Robinho Junior wasted 0 time. Within a year, he was promoted to the under-17 squad in 2023, and by 2024, he wasn't just playing, he was dominating. The 2024 Campeonato Paulista Sub-17, he finished as joint top scorer with 9 goals and led Santos to the title. 9 goals. Joint top scorer at 16 years old. That's when Santos's board realized they had something special on their hands. On August 9th, 2024, they handed him his first professional contract. And here's where it gets crazy. They inserted a €50 million release clause. 50 million. For a kid who hadn't even played senior football yet. But wait, it gets better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. That clause was later upgraded to €100 million, valid until 2027. Santos was sending a message. This kid is untouchable. This kid is the future. This kid is our ticket out of financial hell. In 2025, he was promoted to the under-20s, won the Campeonato Paulista Sub-20, and competed in the Copa São Paulo de Futebol Junior, Brazil's most prestigious youth tournament. And then came the big moment. On July 9th, he was handed the legendary number 7 jersey, the same shirt that landmarked his father's career at Santos. 6 days later, on July 16th, he made his professional debut in the Brasileirao, coming on as a substitute in a 1-0 home win over Flamengo. At 17, he stepped onto the pitch wearing that famous Santos shirt, carrying his father's name with the weight of history on his shoulders. Now, let's talk numbers, because stats tell stories. As of late November 2025, Robinho Junior has featured in 13 senior matches in the Brasileirao, all as a substitute or with limited playing time. He's primarily been used sparingly, which makes sense for a 17-year-old breaking into senior football at a club in crisis. But here's the reality. 0 goals in those 13 appearances. At first glance, that might sound disappointing, but context matters. He's getting minutes in one of the most pressure-filled environments imaginable, a historic club fighting for survival, with every match feeling like a final. His market value currently sits at just €1 million according to Transfermarkt. Compare that to his €100 million release clause, and you see the massive gap between potential and current output. But potential is exactly what scouts are betting on. How does he stack up against other young talents? Lamine Yamal, Barcelona's golden boy who recently turned 18, is the gold standard. At Euro 2024, he became the youngest scorer in tournament history and won the Young Player of the tournament. He's playing for one of the world's biggest clubs with world-class teammates feeding him chances. Endrick, the Brazilian wonder kid who moved to Real Madrid, scored 14 goals in 44 appearances for Palmeiras before his transfer. He was Brazil's next big thing before heading to Europe. Giovanni Quenda at Sporting CP, 18 years old, already breaking into one of Portugal's elite teams. William Estevão, another 18-year-old Brazilian gem at Chelsea. Here's the brutal truth. Yamal plays for Barcelona. Endrick went to Real Madrid. Estevão plays for Chelsea. These guys have been groomed in elite systems with elite coaching and elite infrastructure. Robinho Junior. He's at a Santos team 1 point above the relegation zone, getting sporadic minutes in a dysfunctional environment where survival, not development, is the priority. Context matters. With proper coaching, consistent minutes, and a stable environment, his potential could explode. But right now, he's fighting just to get on the pitch. Now we need to talk about the elephant in the room. Santos FC is in absolute chaos. This is a club that produced Pelé, the greatest footballer who ever lived. They produced Neymar, who became the most expensive player in history. They produced Robinho Junior, who lit up Europe. And now? They're sitting in 16th place in the Brasileirao with 37 points from 34 matches, just 1 point above the relegation zone. Let that sink in. Santos FC, one of the most historic clubs in world football, is one bad result away from dropping into the second division of Brazilian football. It's unthinkable. It's catastrophic. It's happening right now. Financial mismanagement has crippled the club. They're hemorrhaging money and they need cash fast. Guess what happens when a desperate club owns a talented 17-year-old with a €100 million release clause? They start listening to offers. Sources within Santos have confirmed they have not ruled out the sale of Junior before the end of the year due to financial issues and the threat of relegation. Translation: he's for sale. Imagine being Robinho Junior right now. You're 17. You just started your professional career at your boyhood club, your father's club, the club where legends are made. But the club is sinking. The fans are in turmoil. The board is panicking. Every match could be your last in a Santos shirt. The pressure must be suffocating. And here's the cruel irony. If Santos gets relegated, his value plummets further. If he stays in the second division, his development stalls. But if he leaves now, he's abandoning ship during the club's darkest hour. It's a lose-lose situation for a kid who just wants to play football. Due to his father's ongoing legal troubles and arrest, Robinho Junior has lived with extreme discretion, receiving psychological support from Santos FC, but maintaining a good relationship with his father. The kid is dealing with pressures most 17-year-olds can't even imagine. So, who wants him? Everyone, apparently. As of November 27, 2025, Manchester United have emerged as serious contenders. Centre Devils broke the story exclusively. United scouts are actively monitoring Robinho Junior ahead of the January transfer window, with manager Ruben Amorim looking to bolster attacking options. But they're not alone. Chelsea, always shopping in Brazil, are watching. Inter Milan, the Serie A giants, have registered interest. Even Espanyol and Galatasaray are in the mix. This is the circus that surrounds talented Brazilian teenagers. Clubs smell blood in the water. Here's where it gets messy. Santos might want that €100 million release clause honoured. But let's be real, nobody's paying that for a 17-year-old with 0 senior goals and a team on the brink of relegation. The club's desperation means they'll accept much less than the release clause. How much less? That's the multi-million euro question. Some reports suggest he could be available for a fraction of his release clause value. Imagine you're Manchester United. You can swoop in and grab a Brazilian wonder kid with legendary DNA for maybe 10 to 20 million while Santos is on its knees. It's a calculated gamble. You're betting on potential, on genetics, on the fact that his last name is Robinho and he's been training with Brazil's storied youth system. But you're also buying a kid who hasn't proven anything yet at the senior level. For Robinho Junior, leaving might be the smartest career move. Train with United's academy or another top European club. Learn from elite coaches. Develop without the crushing weight of saving Santos from relegation. But it also means abandoning his father's legacy, leaving Brazilian football when his country needs its talents to stay and fight. This is the dilemma facing every Brazilian wonder kid. Stay and risk your career stalling dysfunctional domestic football, or leave for Europe and be called a mercenary who abandoned your roots. So, what happens next? Honestly, with Santos playing their next match on November 29th against Sport Recife, every game is a battle for survival. The January transfer window opens soon, and Santos needs money desperately. If they receive a decent offer, 15, 20 million euros, can they really afford to say no when they're 1 point from relegation? Probably not. If Robinho Junior leaves, he joins the long list of Brazilian talents exported before their time. If he stays, he either becomes the hero who helps save Santos from relegation, or he goes down with the ship and watches his development suffer. What we do know is this: the kid has talent. Those youth tournament performances, that number 7 shirt, that famous last name, it's all real. But talent without opportunity is just potential. And potential doesn't win trophies or save clubs from relegation. The next few weeks will define Robinho Junior's career. Will he be the next Neymar, leaving Santos for European glory? Will he be the next cautionary tale, a wonder kid who never lived up to his name? Or will he carve out his own path entirely, separate from his father's shadow? One thing's certain. As of today, November 27th, 2025, Manchester United and multiple European giants are watching closely. And whatever happens, this story is far from over. The son of a legend, fighting to create his own legacy while his childhood club crumbles around him. That's the beautiful, brutal reality of Brazilian football. That's the story of Robinho Junior. What club do you think he would end up with? Let's take this to the comment section.